Welcome to Toffee TV. I'm glad to say I'm joined in the studio by Everton's Echo correspondent, one of Everton's Echo correspondents, Chris Beesley. We're going to be discussing all sorts of things, how Everton have gone so far. Jordan Pickford, is he all that? You know, what happened at Bradford the other night. All of these things. But first, Christmas is coming. And the goose is getting fat. And people might be looking for stocking fillers presents for people, for members of the family of the Blue Persuasion. And I think Spirit of the Blues by you, Chris, might just tick that box for a lot of people.
What a lovely subtle segue in there, Vaz. Yeah. Forget that red Father Christmas. He's just a Coca-Cola creation. So very excited. Thanks for having me on again. I think it's going to be a good one today. But yeah, we've got a live event coming up with Michael Ball, the former Everton player, not the singer, of course.
Just got him to sing.
Imagine that, yeah. Well, get our Michael Ball to sing.
Yeah, rather than getting the other Michael Ball to try and play football. I think we've got more success with our Michael Ball singing.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. He told me once he was on a trip with Everton with under Howard Kendall, and they had them all singing. I'm trying to remember what his party piece was. He was hiding, I think, when it was his turn, him and Michael Branch. But yeah, myself, Michael Ball will be there. Waterstones in town at Liverpool 1. Tuesday the 25th of November, so just a month before the big day, as it were, and just going to be talking about the book Spirit of the Blues, and it's quite apt at the moment because I'm sure we'll come on to this now about Everton being a big club or not, and I think that we should blow our own trumpet in that respect. I mean, Goodison Park, what a unique legacy it was, the grand old lady there. So Spirit of the Blues, for those the viewers who don't know, is the definitive story of Everton's time at Goodison Park, those 133 years, condensed into 100 of the greatest games and most memorable matches. So we were talking about the book, how that all came about Michael's time, obviously playing for the Blues, living the dream, and then obviously he's now a hard-hitting columnist with us at the Echo. So got that coming up on Tuesday, 25th of November. So if you just go onto my social media sites, you can go to get the direct link because you need to get a ticket for that one for people to come down. But also, actually, Children in Need. It's an offshoot of Children in Need, and what they do, they get authors to auction their books. People can raise money for charity for Children in Need, and I was kindly invited to partake in that by Children in Need. So again, if you go onto my site, and you can put a bid in to get a signed copy, and any message you want on there. So yeah, that all go to a great cause. So yeah, I've got the Children in Need on my site. But yeah, if people want to come down, get a ticket for the event at Liverpool 1 at Waterstones. We'd love to see you down there.
Brilliant. What time is that on the
That's 25th? At 6:30, I believe, in the evening on Tuesday, 25th of November.
So, listen, if you're interested, you want to go listen to Chris explain how it come about and how we picked the games and stuff like that, or Michael Ball, former Everton defender, of course, Michael Ball, massive Evertonian, his story of playing for Everton and everything else that goes with it, being a fan now, which he is. Get yourself along, like I said. It'll be a lovely Christmas present for somebody. We're always looking for gifts, aren't we, around that time, and one that'll tick a few boxes. And Goodison Park, unbelievable stadium for Everton Football Club, for Evertonians. Go and get some memories of it. Obviously, we've moved on, and we'll talk about that as well in a minute. But there's an opportunity for you to maybe get someone an early Christmas present, or get it in the bag, which is always good. Get one there wrapped, and you go, right, that's sorted now. In the bag, he's got that. No one can take it away. He or she, could be a she, of course. Get yourself down there to Waterstones. Chris, what have you made of it so far? Me and Ped done a little video the other day, just a recap of what's gone. I've seen one or two comments going, it's a bit early for this, isn't it, lads? But it's all it is it's international break, which means you're looking for content to me. But I just thought it was a decent little opportunity to just look at how the opening 7 games have gone. We've done a comparison to where we were a year ago after 7 games and all that. Everything's pointing upwards, everything's trending upwards. What have you made of the opening 7 games so far?
Well, first of all, I think it probably seems a long time. The likes of ourselves, obviously, Toffee TV and myself, were both out in America. That probably seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? Since we were all out there in July under that. I was going to say heat, but we also got wet a lot of the time as well. But I think that the Crystal Palace game, the last minute winner, that was a huge moment for me in terms of the momentum of where it could have gone, because we know obviously he started at Leeds United, that was really poor. Everyone was like, here we go again, typical Everton. But it hasn't been a happy hunting ground for Everton. I'm not making excuses, but traditionally that although we're all disappointed, it wasn't necessarily surprising the way that one panned out. And then after that, you had the 3 wins before the first international break. A great way to start at Hill Dickinson Stadium, and everything's rosy in the garden then. I mean, transfer deadline day, they finally got number 9 over the line and going back to America again. We were both in that room in New York when David Moyes said 9 or 10, so we got the 9. So that was done. But then, between the first international break and the one we're just coming towards the end of now, it was, what I could say, went off the rails. I mean, the disappointment against Aston Villa, probably should have won that, but he didn't. Then in the space of a week, you lose a Merseyside derby, and then you knocked out the Carabao Cup. That's what I was talking about last time I was here. We had all of that. Then went ahead against West Ham, couldn't hang on then, and then all of a sudden it's looking a bit iffy there. So I think when it came to the Crystal Palace game, that was a huge moment. We all know Palace, they've won the FA Cup and Community Shield this year. They were looking to extend that record-breaking run to 20 matches, and I think the stadium needed that. Jack Grealish needed that. Everton needed that. It was a huge moment, really, and it just gives you that momentum again. Because if we'd gone into the next international break and they'd not won a game in between the breaks, you'd go, it's not been a great period. But just to finish on that high, and we've almost been able to sort of live off that for a fortnight now and enjoy the feel-good factor. I think that was a huge moment for everyone concerned, and it's one of those we were talking about that game for the rest of our lives. We were saying, that first ever stoppage time winner at Hill Dickinson.
It was. Do you think I said on the overlap thing last week, and I said we almost needed. I felt we needed a moment like that at the stadium, a late winner, a key goal, like you said. They're a good side. They've started the season really well. It's weird, isn't it? Because everyone's lauding how well they've started the season, and rightly so, because they have. But they got the same points as Everton. Which is a bit mad, or a point in it.
I think
1 point, so you got 12, you've got 11, which is mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that I just felt like we needed that big moment at Hill Dickinson just to sort of announce it to everybody else, and obviously the noise and I mean, where the referee got about another half an hour after that goal from, I don't know, but that was a huge moment in itself, wasn't it? Just to have that first late winner, and obviously Jack Grealish getting it as well, of course. Yeah,
100%. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Baz, because what it was, we had all those sort of set-piece moments. So Roma is the first senior game in front of fans. Brighton's the first competitive game. Mansfield's the first cup tie. And then even Aston Villa, first 3 o'clock Saturday game. It's got something. Palace on paper there, it's the first sort of game you're like, there's nothing really momentous about this, but this is where it's spontaneous. It's like that spontaneity. It's a moment that you can't say, it's a derby or Manchester United are coming to town or whatever. You don't know what's going to happen there. You don't know when this moment was going to happen. So it happened at the first in a nothing game, but I mean, there's nothing riding it from a historical perspective. But then that moment arrived, and like you say, Jack Grealish. Just after David Moyes had been telling him he's got to shoot more as well, because I mean, people had said after the Villa game, was he overplaying it just a little bit or whatever? And David Moyes said, I think he's very neat in the way he plays. He's very clean, I think was the phrase the manager used in terms of how he plays the game. But he wanted him to shoot more because he's never really been prolific. I think he had the one season at Villa where he hit double figures all comps. But can he change that at 30? I don't know, but. Yeah, it was a lovely moment. Even if he just obviously put, as he did, he's attacked the ball, didn't he, in the clearance, hit him, but he was there in the box, and it was that great moment. Like I said, we don't know when these moments were going to come. So, yeah, for that first stoppage time winner at Hill Dickinson Stadium, it's gone down in history now. I said this nothing game becomes a huge game, something we'll be talking about forever. But, yeah, it's important on the short-term basis, just getting Everton a win in between those international breaks, and for Jack Grealish getting off the mark. And then on a long-term basis, it's always going to be there in the record books.
If you want a team to play at the moment for Everton, they've come back and beaten a team only on 3 occasions in the last 24 or something, and every time it's been Crystal Palace. So I guess I'd seen in the week building up, I've seen a few Palace fans like nah, don't fancy this at all, you know. And if you were like, I can see us leading and Everton winning 2-1, I was thinking, you just look a good, you know. But that's how it played out.
Yeah.
And I think, to be honest, I felt in the ground, they should have been, of course, they should have been 2 up by the time we scored.
Maybe even
But
3,
I felt when Alcaraz had that shot, I don't know why, but I said to my lad next to me and people I'm with, we'll win it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just felt that was the moment when he headed it forward and burst through and hit the shot. The crowd almost sort of ignited again, and I seen them sort of looking around a bit like, this atmosphere's gone up a level. And after that, I thought they struggled. Wharton, who'd had his slippers on in the first half, all of a sudden couldn't get near us in midfield, and everything turned. And obviously the penalty was the key moment. And I was in no doubt whatsoever once Jai rolled it in. I was in no doubt I'd be walking out there with an Everton victory. Until, the 2 long throws, and then I thought, in the 198 minutes, I thought, it would be quite like us if they nicked it again here, but no. Great.
For me, actually, there was a pivotal moment. There was a turning point. I felt it, and I think it was almost like, do you remember all those years ago when Phil Neville went in on Ronaldo in front of the Bullens Road? The Everton crowd sometimes needs a moment for them to get riled or to get het up with something. And for me, it was the moment when their lad got booked, when he wouldn't go back from for the free kick.
Yeah.
Garner got booked for shoving him because he lost his rag, and David Moyes was going nuts on the touchline as well. And for me, it was then, because it was a moment the crowd all got up for it then, and for me that was the turning point. So it's almost like with the grand old lady. I mean, what do you need, that spark just of a... Do you remember that game against Blackburn, David Moyes, first time round, it was 1-0, and who got sent off? Ian Turner got sent off, and John Ruddy came on. And all that, there was, I mean, that's in the book as well. There's all these mad moments happening in that game, what on surface would have been sort of a mid-table clash in February and not much riding on it. But it ended up being like one of the craziest, sort of angriest games at Goodison, because just something that happened to rile the crowd, and it was almost like a backs to the wall. So it was one of those for me, and you could feel it. You could feel the momentum shifting in the stadium, and like you said, maybe he was a bit nervous at the end defending those throw-ins, but a real sort of classic Everton moment, and in all the good ways.
Yeah, definitely, and I hope we take that forward now. I hope that the crowd realise that just how important they are. I think they do, but I hope that we remember, it's probably not realise isn't the right word, it's probably remember how important we are in those moments. And I've heard Glasner talk about it since, I've heard Wharton talk about it, and one of their other players just saying, when you could feel it turn, and it might have been Mark Gay, and you could feel the engine. I've never heard noise like it, and things like that. So that, if that isn't sort of an affirmation or a confirmation to our fans of like, when you're on it and you're angry, people don't like it, and that stadium, I mean, Dan Meese has done it, and the people who've built it have done a brilliant job in getting the acoustics right for it. And again, it was recorded as the loudest ever in a Premier League game when we scored. So it's up to us to try to build on that now, isn't it? Because it has been a really good start at the stadium, isn't it? When we were told how difficult it is. And me and Pet did have a sort of bit of a run and joke in the end when people were like, I'm worried about leaving Goodison to go there because of the home form. You're like, we've won about 5 games at Goodison, each season for about the last 3 or 4 years. It's not like we're winning 13, 14 home games, because them days it's sort of, because we cut the quality away from the squad, obviously, but it's been, 5 games there now, 3, 2 wins, 2 draws, and a cup victory as well. So it's been a decent start at home, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and like you say, Dan Meese deserves a hell of a lot of credit for that. I think maybe amongst non-Evertonians and outsiders as well, it's kind of like not a lazy remark to say. I mean, we'll maybe come on to that about somebody else as well. But when they say, oh, well, they've moved stadium, the new stadium, it's going to be tough for them. And like you say, last season, the historic final season at Goodison Park, it was the joint lowest home wins it had in the club's history. I think as long with 1957, 58, something like that, 5 wins. And so a lot of their success actually was away under Moyes as well in the second half of that season. So, yeah, it's playing a huge part. And Evertonians have always been able to do that, but the fact there's like a third extra of them in there in that stadium, and it was something I spoke to David Moyes about before the international break, because we all know the 1878s and all the stuff they're doing, they've had to put that back now because Hill Dickinson Stadium's so big, those banners, it was like sort of the Everton and Magic banner, it was stretching over the Gladys Street, now looks like a postage stamp in their own words on the south stand. So they're raising the funds for that, as we know, and David Moyes is saying how important they are. I mean, that's just with the banners, but we're talking about the in-game support, because of course obviously the banners come down before you even start the game, but yeah, it can make a huge difference. And many managers have said that over the years, how, despite Anfield's reputation for the European nights, that that Goodison was actually a lot more fiercer and a lot tougher to go to. So with all those extra Evertonians in there and the way that the stadium is designed, I mean, that was one thing that Mies would always say, to be fair, when I spoke to Dan, is that he tried to emphasise that whole home field advantage. And I know people were cautious and saying, take your time, find the new surroundings, because to be fair, a lot of people aren't necessarily sat next to the people they were at Goodison. When you're all supporting the team, you're still going to make that noise, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's been a decent start, and obviously international break. I think we've got to come on to Jordan Pickford.
Yeah.
I think.
Definitely.
I've seen Liam Dunn in the comments saying we are way too precious and sensitive about Pickford. That was embarrassing from the club the other day. I don't think it was, Liam. I think it was overdue from the club on a personal level.
I agree.
When you're going each game and having a go at a player every game for no reason. If Jordan Pickford was conceding goals for England regularly, and you're looking and thinking he should be doing better than that, and there was another goalkeeper who you're thinking he's definitely pushing him here, I could understand some of the stuff that gets written or said about him. The lad doesn't concede goals. He's just had his 9th consecutive clean sheet for England, won his 80th cap. He's played in 2 European Championship finals, a World Cup semi-final, a World Cup quarter-final. This is a lad who's made one error since he made his debut for England. That's led to a goal, and that was only last year, and it was a stupid kick-out which they score from. That's it. It shouldn't even be a topic of conversation when there's so many other issues with England. And yet, one fella continues to go back and hammer him and not give him credit. I think it was way overdue. When you're, even forget about Jordan Pickford for a second, when you're questioning whether Everton are a big club or not, when you should know better, you played the game. And especially when Lee Dixon was playing, Everton were probably still the 3rd most successful club or the 4th most successful. Yeah. So it's a nonsense thing, and Everton, rightly so, bit back at him. And in my opinion, well done. I'd have probably gone a bit further, but well done. Chris, what's your take on the whole thing?
Probably very similar to yours, but to be fair, people want to read it as a piece in the Echo online this morning about this big opinion piece, so if people can take the time out and read that and see my thoughts in more detail. But yeah, 100%. It's almost like you've run out of things to criticise Jordan Pickford for, because you can't criticise him, because as you just outlined all those records, the fact, he's kept more clean sheets in a row for England than anyone else. He's never, statistically, as you've mentioned there, that was only a friendly as well when that happened. So he's never actually in a competitive game when it mattered. He's never cost them a goal. It was only ever in a friendly in those 80 games. Because you can't do that. So let's move on to something else with Jordan Pickford, and let's question whether Everton are a big club. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. And as I say in my piece, I think Everton were right, because, Richard Masters did something similar as well, the chief executive of the Premier League. Even Rafael Benitez, he had to backtrack on it furiously all those years later when he came to Goodison Park. Said it in a fit of pique after Everton had got a goalless draw at Anfield, rather than go there gung-ho and silly like Roberto Martinez and get battered 4-0. They actually went there and played a decent game to get a goalless draw. He was frustrated, he said that. So, if people aren't going to stick up for Everton, well, Everton need to stick up for themselves. And yeah, I was glad they were doing it. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I think both Neville Southall and the late Kevin Campbell have referred to it as a witch hunt, this sort of constant knocking of Pickford. I mean, I've met Jordan many times, been fortunate enough to interview him, and he sort of bats it all off. That's the way he is. He's a very cocksure, very self-confident guy. And why not? Because like we say, he is head and shoulders in terms of being England number one. I mean, he had a bit of fun. We're talking about that Palace game. He had a bit of fun there, weren't they? Where their fans were singing England number one and Jordan rightly acknowledging him. Mm. It's because as much as Dean Henderson has had a great year, because I'm not here to knock Henderson, he's won those 2 trophies. I mean, he probably... And Leicester the law should have been sent off in the cup final before he saved that penalty. But he stayed on. And but whenever one of on those few occasions one of the understudies has been given a chance for England, they've always messed up. And it was the same with Henderson. They played Senegal. Forrest, I think the last goal went through his legs and deflected in off his leg, got megged and went in off his leg. They've always fluffed the lines, the understudies. Yeah. Jordan Pickford has been that pinnacle of consistency. I think people have still got it in their heads. I mean, we all know what happened, obviously, with the derby, where Virgil van Dijk had sort of set the tone for the afternoon, and yet, because Jordan did what he did, it was a wild challenge, but the reaction to it was even wilder. A lot of people lost their heads there and sort of got a bit irresponsible. Sort of these old ideas of what Jordan Pickford was doing several years ago, or maybe that time when he was at Newcastle, he made the mistakes there. Yeah. People are thinking he's still like that now. He's eradicated all those sort of flaws from his game. He's such a consistent performer now and has been for a number of years. I'd argue a few people have said this. He's probably done more than any single individual to ensure Everton moved into the new stadium as a Premier League club. He's been a model of consistency, both for club and country. And maybe it's a strange position for Evertonians to be in. I mean, without going into the whole debate about supporting the England team or not. To have England number one, you're always sort of going to be there to be shot at. But the stick that he gets and continues to get over a sustained period is just absolutely ridiculous. And like you, I'm made up. I think Everton were totally right, spot on, responding in the way they did.
Yeah, definitely. It's just that I just find it weird. I find it weird that pundits should know better. Have made a personal towards Pickford, and then add a pop at Everton. It's such a strange thing to say. All you have to do is say, if you just genuinely don't think Jordan Pickford's good enough, and I would question his ability to judge whether a goalie's good enough if that's the way he thinks, then keep it to yourself.
Yeah,
keep it to yourself. Why you don't need to, just don't say anything. And if you're asked, just be civil about him. You don't need to big him up if you don't think he needs it. But you don't need to go in on him. He's not, like I said, if he was letting goals in all the time, then fair enough. You've got an opinion and people see it differently. But I think a lot of people, goalies, ex-goalies now, are just like, Pickford's sound, there's no issue. There's no issue. There's other issues. Like, why is Jordan, no disrespect to Jordan Henderson, but why is Jordan Henderson playing for England? How is Dan Burn playing for England? These are the more pertinent questions, but everyone just Dixon's letting them off. So, again, to me, it's about Everton defending themselves. They shouldn't need to, because Dixon, I'd expect them to have a little bit more of an understanding as someone who played the game and know about football. Maybe he doesn't. I mean, he was from Burnley after all, but who knows? I just think it was a weird comment to make, but just leave him alone. That's what I'd say. There's no reason for it. If you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's what my mother told me. Yeah. So there you go. But he has done well anyway. Yeah. Dixon aside and Everton aside. Jordan's done brilliantly, hasn't he? 80 caps, 9 clean sheets on the run for him personally. So
were people questioning whether Gordon Banks should have been playing for Leicester City when England won the World Cup in 1966? I mean, check at the time, they'd only ever won one League Cup at a time, Leicester. Were people saying that? Were people saying that when he was at Stoke City? I think he got voted FIFA Goalkeeper of the Year 6 years on the trot or something, but that wasn't holding him back. Wasn't holding Jordan back playing those 80 times for England as an Everton player. He's doubled the previous club record. It was Phil Jagielka who played 40 times for England as an Everton player. Jordan's doubled that. And it's an incredible run of consistency from when he made his debut against Germany, who were world champions at the time, November 2017. He's number one now for almost 8 years, and it's been an incredible run for him. So, yeah, it's baffling, really. And I just wonder, I don't know, how much of this is it actually who he plays for? Because we know that certain teams within the national media and favourable. I mean, Tottenham Hotspur have always had a lot of England players. We know, obviously, Liverpool as well. There's a lot of voices for them and stuff. I just think whether, because Jordan plays for Everton, I don't know whether a northern team who aren't one of the darlings, as it were, is that what it is? Is it a bit of a class thing? Is it a bit of a regional thing? I don't know, because Lee Dixon's Mancunian, isn't he? But
Ted made a good point the other day, though. It was like, Dean Henderson plays for Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
So if Henderson gets in, what are they going to say? Oh, well, he should be going too big. He's had this go at United and couldn't get in.
Yeah.
You know, Aaron Ramsdale. You know.
Yeah.
Say, Mr. Ramsdale. You know, he's had a go at that. He gets relegated wherever he goes, the kid. But they were banging the door for him at one time, even though he was throwing things in his net for Arsenal.
Yeah.
So I just find it absolutely crazy. I find it crazy that it's even a thing, but like you said, if Jordan just bats it off, and the only person he has to impress is Thomas Tuchel, isn't it?
Yeah.
And see, the thing I just find mad is, and Sam Matterface apparently just went back at him and said, "Well, Everton are a massive club, and he's happy, so why should he move?" You know, this thing of like, why hasn't he had a move then? Well, where's he gonna go? Liverpool have had Alisson for years, and Alisson's brilliant, whether we like it or not, he is. City had Ederson for years, and Ederson was brilliant, and they've replaced him with Donnarumma. You know, the other pretender to Pickford's throne lasted 2 games.
Poor old James Trafford,
You know, so they've had 2 great goalkeepers. Donnarumma's outstanding, by the way, absolutely outstanding. Arsenal have got Raya, who's outstanding. Yeah. They had, in the past, they've had Petr Cech and other great goalies. So, you know,
he's not going to go Newcastle,
he's
you'd
not
think.
ever going to Newcastle, and still struggle to put them in the Champions League clubs, but even though they've done well. Villa have got Martinez, who's never going to go there anyway. Spurs had Lloris for years, and Chelsea have 46 goalies. And Chelsea, the 2 that he might have gone are Chelsea and United. And I know United was sniffing around them, and Everton didn't want to sell, and I don't think he was that bothered about going, which is why United ended up buying Onana.
Yeah.
And I've said it before, I think if they'd have bought Amadou Onana and put him in goal, it'd have been better. But they went there, but that goalie was a Champions League final goalkeeper for Inter and done well. So it's not as if like all these other clubs have struggled for years and they've all ignored Jordan Pickford. Yeah. Most of them, the better ones, have had a settled goalkeeper. Or it's Chelsea where they just buy $1 million and go, oh, let's try you for 3 games. Yeah. So it just doesn't even feel like a thing.
It seems very unfair, this idea that he's not ambitious or whatever. Like I said, he's had that platform for success. Playing for Everton has never stopped him from playing for England. So why does he need to move then? He's happy with the family. We should have applaud that loyalty that he settled. As you know, we're obviously on the cusp of announcing the new contracts, we understand as well, which will effectively keep him for the rest of his career, and absolutely made up. And I think the more the outside world sort of rails against Jordan, the more for Evertonians he becomes our Jordan Pickford, as it were, in terms of, you know, the rapport he's got with the fans and the song now, and how he loves all of that, and he plays with his heart on his sleeve. He's a lot like that's nothing I mentioned in the piece. Actually, I mentioned a couple of those famous quotes from obviously Alan Ball, who went to Arsenal. Obviously, once Everton's touching, nothing's the same. And then Duncan Ferguson, when you play for Everton, the rest mean nothing. And Pickford's a bit like those two, you know, in the heart on his sleeve, is a very passionate player, and he's sort of got that rapport with the Evertonians. So, you know, why does he need to move anywhere? It's never held him back once. I think the only one thing which is missing for Jordan Pickford, and it's the same for us, it's what we all crave and it's what we all want. As the big club what Everton are, and as they say, as they've said, were, are and will be in the future, is that trophy. I believe he is now out of that England team who started the last Euros final, because Mark Gay won the FA Cup, and because Harry Kane, the famous trophy dodger for so long, got the Bundesliga. I think Jordan's the only one without a major honour, and so, I mean, Evertonians want to put that right as much as anybody, so hopefully he can do that, because that'd be a great sort of testament for him to stay committing his future to Everton if he was able to break that trophy duck with Everton. That'd be a huge moment.
Well, one trophy we can't win this season, Chris, is the Virtue Trophy, and I don't know whether we should have maybe tried to play Jordan in it.
Well, we had George, poor George Pickford, he was playing.
In goal for it. You were at Valley Parade
I
the
was.
other night to see Everton's under-21 side go down to a 5-1 defeat. A team that included Adam Asnew, Dwight McNeil, Nathan Patterson.
Yeah.
I think most Evertonians, as I was, would have been shocked to see them 4-0 down after 41 minutes.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Exactly. What did happen? There's been it's a strange old competition, isn't it? Because of course, for many years it was just the two bottom divisions in there. It was like their ticket to Wembley, you know, a cup final for the teams in the bottom two divisions, and then they opened it up for those under 21 sides a few years ago, and people are saying, you know, it's not fair now. I mean, I don't think any of the under 21s have ever come close to sort of winning it. And it's sort of a damning indictment of the under 21 stroke.
You beat Liverpool 2-0 the other night. Other teams,
reserve team football, whatever we want to call it now, about where it is, and they're so far off in terms of the levels. Graham Alexander, a former David Moyes player from Preston, he's got them going great, to be fair, at Bradford, second in the table. And I was looking at the results this season, because it's another lesson for Everton, taking every competition seriously. I think they'd had a couple of decent away wins in the Carabao Cup before they eventually fell to holders Newcastle, and that was their 11th win in all comps. And it shows you that importance of building that momentum of whatever competition you're in, taking it seriously, and that's what they did. They played really well, to be fair, but yeah, we're looking at it from an Everton perspective, and that's not good when you've got those three in there. I mean, Dwight McNeil, whatever you think about him, over 200 Premier League appearances, a £20 million player, is playing in his favoured number 10 role. He should have been bossing it. He should have been running the game against third-tier opponents, very anonymous. And then the problem was, Nathan Patterson probably wished he could have been anonymous, because he was making all the headlines for all the wrong reasons. That goal-bound effort that he ended up putting into his own net, and then he almost did it a second time. Then he goes forward. It was a rare foray forward, and he ends up handballing it, and then he gets booked. I mean, a night to forget, unfortunately, for Nathan Patterson. I mean, he's brought in as Seamus Coleman's long-term success. It's just not happened for him. The injuries, he's had players picked out a position ahead of him, whether that be Ben Godfrey under Sean Dyche or Jake O'Brien now under David Moyes. And yeah, it was a tough night for him. And then Adam Asnew as well, who David Moyes has said isn't at Premier League ready just yet. Well, wasn't pulling up any trees either. So yeah, to be pulled apart. I mean, fortunately, to be fair to Paul Tate, the manager, who was good enough to speak to me after that result. You know, he's always honest and open about what happened, and he said we looked like a real soft academy team, and that first few 20 minutes, whatever, when they were, because they're 3-0 down after 21 minutes, never mind 4-0 after 40 odd. So yeah, it was a shambolic showing. Obviously they proved after the break, but yeah, it was all game over by that point. And unfortunately, the lad Jake Catesby as well got a real nasty looking injury in that second half. It was over the far end of the pitch. You didn't see it in real time, but it was a real bad one. So we wish him well. But yeah, a real tough night at the office, and David Moyes was watching on. So it's almost like some of those players have possibly been hung out to dry there. They've been given a chance, and they've not taken it, because Dwight McNeil, another one, harking back to the summer in America. You know, I spoke to him when we were over in New Jersey ahead of the first game, and he was talking about what a big season it was for him. He acknowledged that he saw himself as a senior player now, and it was a big moment. But since we did that interview at the end of July, and you know, in August, they signed Kieran Dewsbury Hall, they signed Jack Grealish, they signed Tyler Diblin, and he's way down the pecking order now. And sort of awful displays like that, like it was both collectively and individually for them at Valley Parade, that's just not going to help.
Yeah. I mean, it is on them, isn't it? They're given. Again, I've said this the other day, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I wanted to see a few of these playing in this tournament. I think under 21 football is a waste, in my opinion, is a waste of time. It's non-contact, low level intensity when you watch it, really. You know, if you want to watch a proper game of footy, go and watch a Sunday League game, and the intensity, most Sunday League teams have beat half of the academy teams just on intensity. So it's an opportunity to play against men, and it's why I thought they did well going in the National Cup as well. I know Everton had mixed results in that one, but I think it gives you that. This is the problem. They come through, not just Everton, this is with most players at these clubs, they come through academies where it's easy, because it is. If you're a good footballer, it's easy. You know, just go and watch any of the goals that the 18s post or whatever, and no one puts a tackle in, just on their own with the ball, and they just put it in. And then you show them promise. So a club goes, oh, let's have a, he looks good, we'll take him on loan. And these kids go on loan and can't get near it. No. And they're a mile away, and you'd end up getting sent back to your club, played about 3 games, and you look and go, what's happened to him? Because that intensity, that working every day, playing against the physicality of those leagues, the power that those lads have, and the fact that it's their livelihood and it depends on, you know, every tackle's important. Again, me and Ped have said this many times. The Central League, remember that one years ago? The Reserve League. I played in it with Everton, played in it with Burnley. Not with Everton, playing it with Burnley, but watched Everton playing in it. Yeah. You were up against pros who would smash you off the ball, and you'd learn, you mightn't get a kick, but you come off and think, I've had a chase in there, I'm not near him. And that, how do I get to that level? Yeah. It's why when you get someone like Harrison Armstrong, who obviously is at that level immediately, they can go into these teams on loan at 18 and look good. You know, Anthony Gordon made his Everton debut at 16, went to Preston. Okay, he had mixed results at Preston, but the next season he was in Everton's team. Obviously Ross Barkley, Wayne Root, you know, I'm talking about the best. Yeah. But even players sort of like the likes of Tom Davies, and that they were, if you watch them in the 21 game, Tom Davies was the best player on the pitch. No one could get near him in any game. Yeah. And then you see when he come into Everton's midfield in the Premier League, it levelled it up a bit. Yeah. Well, quite a lot. So I think the more games you can play in these trophies against hardened professionals, lads who it means something, and I believe Jensen Metcalf was outstanding the other night, who obviously left Everton in the summer. That's a good test for these kids to go, I'm nowhere near it. And also I think it's a good bucket of water in the face of some of us fans who go, why isn't he giving him a go in the first team? He looks good. Because they are miles away from him.
Yeah, so it's rude and awakening, like you say, for many of them. And it's just shows you, like you say, that somewhere along the way, reserve team football, as it were, the fact it's not reserves, it's under 21s, it's lost its way, that whole sort of structure within the game, because those players, it would be, wouldn't it be, those players who weren't necessarily getting 90 minutes for Everton, they'd be getting the game in the reserves, and it would mean something. I mean, it was a huge sort of, that tale that Tony Cottee says when he was dropped to the A team, he ended up playing against his window cleaner up at Morecambe, whatever it was. But certainly reserve team football, because that was the A team, but that was something on it. And I mean, going across the park, Liverpool make a big thing of it, that you know, the reserves win the league as well, and it was that natural progression to the first team. So yeah, the whole structure's lost its way. It's almost like if you're playing for the under 21s, like you say, the real talents come through when they're maybe 16, 17, 18. If you're playing for the 21s, you've almost missed the boat, because you're probably not going to make it at Everton. And then now if you're getting turned over by these lads who are like League One, League Two, are you even going to make it at that level? So, yeah, it probably goes beyond Everton, much beyond Everton, to be fair. In terms of it's a problem across the board. And sometimes they've been better in this competition, and sometimes they've had a real chasing. But I think what most Evertonians are probably concerned with coming out of that game is with the senior players. You've got that £32 million pair of McNeil and Patterson, who for various reasons were struggling at either end there, and then Adam Asnu again, who hasn't played in the first team, but again was one certainly who got a lot of attention over the summer after his move from Bayern Munich, and he still looks a long way off. Yeah, he put a couple of decent crosses in there, but you're thinking he's got to do a lot more to be sort of, because ironically we thought Mikalenko's almost got away with it for a couple of years, while Everton have, in that without having a proper sort of understudy for him. I know Ashley Young would come across, but they actually had a left-back alternative now, and he still looks a long way off. And as I said, the fact that David Moyes was there in the ground watching on, so yeah, you can't be banging on his door. I mean, he's kind of alluded to that already, you know, saying, why aren't I in the team? Well, if you're going to play like that, yeah, long way off.
Well, what do you think about the Ashley thing? Because obviously Everton have bought him in, and Everton are trying, it feels like, trying to look at bringing in some of these sort of project players, if you call it that, you want to call it that. So it's difficult to get players to come to a club who isn't going to give you're an opportunity, because why would you?
Yeah.
Other than money, but you might come and disappear from football. So Everton bring Adam Asnew in. We were in the States, as you said before, and the manager said, could be a year before he's ready. And we're a bit like, everyone raised their eyes because he come on against United and Atlanta looked decent.
Yeah.
But then you think, well, from a fan's perspective, our perspective watching it, you go, well, you need another left back then.
Yeah.
If this kid's a year, we need a left back. So, you know, I've looked at Reguilon, who obviously played for Brentford, United, Tottenham, and thought, well, he's free. But he must want big money because no one's took him. And he's up and down. Yeah. You're like, he's going to Inter Miami. Yeah, I saw that link the other day. But he's been available all summer. No one's bit on him. So you're like, could you have brought him in for... But then you bring him in for... Yeah. He'd probably want a 2-year contract. So that's saying to Asnew, well, you're number 3 then, mate. Yeah. Or if Asnew somehow did get above Reguilon, you start to go, oh, he's developing well. Then you've got Reguilon on a long contract on big money. Yeah. Like, where's the sweet spot for that? And I guess you could apply it to Tierno Barry as well at the moment. But where do you think the sweet spot is?
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? This is and I've said it's probably admirable for David Moyes, because we were talking before we came on air, and the fact that, you know, given he's aware that, you know, the time's marching on for him. You know, he's already the oldest manager in the Premier League. Is he going to be Is he going to be seeing the best out of Asnew? Just how long is it going to be? It's a difficult one, because, as you said, these players, on the one hand, you've got to be able to offer them something. You know, it's not a dead end. You've got to have a pathway there where you think you can get in, and it's just, I guess, how quick he progresses, isn't it? We can see he's not there at the moment, unfortunately. I think it was probably a chasing experience. Obviously, when he had to come on early against Roma, because Mikalenko got injured, and he ended up getting subbed himself, and he had a real difficult afternoon that day, and it was almost like a wake-up call, I think, for everyone, because it was the first time a lot of Evertonians had obviously seen him in the flesh, and it was like, this lad's got a while to go yet. So that was probably a big moment, really, and we've seen subsequently the fact that Moyes is almost playing anyone but Asnew in that when Mikalenko's not available. Jimmy Garner's gone over there a few times, about the 3 different league games. Even Seamus Coleman, poor old Seamus. He wasn't a left back in 2009 at Benfica. He wasn't a left back at Wolves in 2025. But, you know, he does a job. He's a great man, and he's a great person to have in the squad. He'll play centre forward for you if he has to. But
we don't see that. I love Seamus, but
well, I don't know way things are going. But it's a genuine dilemma, because he's got to be offering him something. And I mean, you could look at maybe the analogy with Leighton Baines. When he came in, he had to bide his time a little bit with Jolie and Lescott, but Baines had already done it in the Premier League. He was the club's most expensive defender at the time, so it's probably not an exact analogy. So I guess it's all how quickly Adam Asnew learns, because he's not there at the moment, but can he come on leaps and bounds, or is he going to be a longer term project? And if it's the latter, well, there's a bit of an issue there.
He didn't even get in Morocco's under-21 squad for this little break, so that's not great either. So listen, who knows what the reason is behind that? Maybe they've got unbelievable left backs ahead of them. I don't know. But it's something he's going to have to work on physically, because it's the physicality in the Premier League. You know, he looks like a nice footballer. Seen bits of him at Bayern, seen bits of him playing for Valladolid on loan. It's a case of, you know, that physique.
Yeah, he's not a big unit, is he?
No. So you're going to have to really work on that. Maybe he needs to phone Brien up and say, send those, you know, the meal plan you have for Goretzka, and send it over to me, and I'll start getting on the creatine as well, like Arsenal, and help him. But he's obviously talented, because a few of the Bayern, certainly the sporting directors, he's made 3 different interviews where he's had a go at Asnew leaving. He's fuming that they couldn't keep him because he didn't want to stay. So I don't know. But listen, let's see what he does, because right now it doesn't seem like he's a genuine backup for Mikalenko, does it? And I mean, what do Everton do there? Do they just keep reverting to James Garner if Mikalenko's not available? Do they try Jared Brantwaite there for a bit? You know, I'd be really remiss to do that, because I think Brantwaite's our best centre back. So it's an interesting one, because let's just hope Miko's fit for the season, and then
Yeah,
Arsenal gets better.
Well, I think the long-term answer is maybe looking at a new left-back, full stop. I think that's the probably the ambition that you want. I mean, it's an interesting one because I think Mikalenko's one of those ones who's going to come. He's going into his last year of his contract now, isn't he? So, I mean, I'd imagine that they will re-sign him or attempt to do just to retain the value, whatever you think about him longer term. But yeah, I think it's almost like, as you say, just try and muddle through whoever you can this season, and maybe look see if you can possibly upgrade next summer. Maybe Arsenal's shock us all, and he will develop, because Dave Moyes said he did see a lot of things and like him. I don't think it's a sign it's been foisted upon him, like you say. If the Bayern people are up in arms about that, it obviously shows you the lad's got something about him. But yeah, it all depends on just how quickly he can progress. But yeah, it could be a case of maybe James Garner has to go in there, then you lose him. I mean, poor old Jared Brandtway hasn't kicked a ball yet this season, but you don't want him coming in and having to switch over to left back. I know he could probably do an admirable job there, but then obviously you lose his huge presence in the centre of defence, which has been an issue. I mean, we don't even know is Michael Keane okay after the knock he had. We don't know, because he's been Everton's most consistent defender. Tarky's just signed a new contract, but he probably hasn't been firing on all cylinders since he came back from his injury. So yeah, I think when Brandtway comes back in, you'd want to see him in the middle, even though he could do a job there. So I think, unfortunately, it might be a case of just fill in whatever you want. But yeah, it's not great, is it?
No. We need everyone fit and fighting, don't we? And roll as well. Hopefully, Mail and Roll's available as well for the weekend, because we're going to need everyone. We will look at City briefly in a minute. It's got a few comments. Gary Ward says, howdy. Blue Keely says, got Spirit of the Blues recently. Not started it yet, but it looks great. At least he's got it. So
thanks.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, a really nice piece of feedback last week. Fella told me he'd bought a copy for his 95-year-old father, and it was helping him actually get those memories back, keep the memories going, because he'd look at someone in the book and it'd spark a memory. So for me, that was a really a lovely thing to be told that. So yeah, that was nice.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Don't know when Brandtway's back, Bert, but hopefully we'll find out. David Moyes' press conference tomorrow, so hopefully we'll find out. Mike Raff says, what did Chris's missus put on his butties today?
Is that in a good way?
I don't know. I mean, is this something that you discussed?
I don't know. Is he saying I was that full of opinions or whatever?
I don't know. Whatever gets Chris ready. He had to dodge a crash on the way, so I think it spiked your cortisol ready for this.
Yeah, it was an early dinner before I set off, because obviously it was just a bit different. It was a bit of a bizarre one. It was what was in the cupboard. It was macaroni and cheese on toast, bit of a mad one.
Mac and cheese on toast.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, Chris.
So yeah,
Chris, that's not a great one. Yeah, that's what it is. Chris Davies says, afternoon fellas, open to see Chris at Liverpool Waterstones next month for his book launch. Good. Got to get your ticket, remember. Yeah. Michael Kearney says the Pickford stuff is borderline vindictive. It is, isn't it? Russ Fairclough says, all right lads, I remember when I was playing local rugby, when the players went quiet, the prop would say to me, it's too quiet, and I knew within 5 minutes he'd give someone a slide dig in a scrum. There'd be a bit of a group scrap, and that'd get us going again.
Oh, is that to like the crowd?
In terms of the crowd,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't advocate digging each other, but hopefully on the pitch getting it fired up. Yeah,
like these rugby players get up to. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Blue Jay says Everton for many years did not defend itself or its players when morons would make inaccurate and ignorant comments. That's now changing, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah.
Correct. Michael says, question is, are those kicks by Pickford that go chest, head height on purpose? Because it drives me mad.
I suppose if there's one thing you're going to pick a hole at, because he is such a good kicker at the ball, you think, when something like that happens, you're going to it's going to show up. I know that's, to be fair, when I speak to Michael Ball, that's one thing that he often mentions. So yeah, I suppose none of us are perfect, but I think it's just one of those, because he's such a good kicker. When he does do that, it stands out, doesn't it? I guess.
Benjamin James reiterated what you said before. Gordon Banks played for Leicester and Stoke when he was the England goalkeeper. Enough said. Exactly.
Yeah.
Paul Williams says, I think pundits just say stuff to get a mention to keep themselves relevant. Certain radio stations that talk about sports, correct, need to keep it going because they'd love to see the world burn rather than looking for the positive.
Yeah.
Well, their whole model is angry callers, isn't it? That's what it's done. Get Lee. I'll invite Lee Dixon, see if he wants to come in and have a chat. Not sure he will.
Are Everton a big enough a club for him to be on Toffee TV?
That's it. Dave McManus says McNeil and Patterson at Bradford just didn't look arsed, and the quicker they're gone, the better. Saying there's not enough in the squad to leave them off the bench at the weekend.
To be fair to Pato, it's not. It was almost like he was trying too hard at once. McNeil was very anonymous. They said that he was very quiet when you thought he should have been running the game. It was almost like, in a way, was Patterson trying too much because of the fact that, he obviously put it in his own net and then he almost does it again a few minutes later. Don't get me wrong, he got my lowest rating. It was a real tough night at the office for Patterson, but in terms of him not looking bothered, it wasn't that. It was probably the opposite of that, to be honest.
Yeah. Steve P says, no universe can we have 4 centre-backs playing with 2 6'5" players at full-back. That's like Deitch's wet dream. If you play for Barcelona's academy and signed by Bayern Munich, you're obviously a good player. Yeah. No, you are right, Steve. I was just saying, if Mykolenko... we need a left-back. Chris said it before, we've said it. We need an attacking, dynamic left-back. Some of the teams that you see... I mean, I wanted Malik Diouf in the summer before West Ham went and nicked him. And he's had 3 assists already. Right. And we saw him in close quarters at Hill Dickinson the other week. Up and down, brilliant crosser of the ball. Yeah. Athletic, energetic, and he's 20 years of age.
Right.
Powerful. They're the model of left back and right back that you want. Jake O'Brien's not a right back. He's done a decent job, although that night he had a tough night that night with him and Crescencio Somerville running at him all night.
Yeah.
But he's done okay, but we want to upgrade there as well. Because they do change your team. Dynamic fullbacks change your team. We've seen it with Coleman and Baines all those years ago. Luca Dean came in and just kept it going. We've seen how important he was. But we've not had it. Since we sold Dean, we haven't had it. And we certainly haven't had it since Seamus stopped being regular in our team.
Yeah. We're blaming it all on Benitez again, are we? Because obviously he fell out with Dean, didn't he? And then he brought in Mykolenko and Patterson. So there you go.
Any opportunity to blame Rafa.
And he called Everton a small club. So
the thing with Patterson was, I understood why Everton went for him. He was highly rated, playing in Scotland, got all the attributes, 6 foot, good athlete. It made sense on paper. Did it make sense not signing Denzel Dumfries when that deal was all done because Rafa wanted to exert a bit of pressure and put his own stamp on it? Probably not, because he was ready-made to go in. He was up and down. And Everton, if he'd have done well, Everton would have got money for him as well, decent money for him as well to move on. Mykolenko's been fine. He's a defensive left-back. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He's a good defender. If you want him to go in and do a job, as he's done on Mo Salah many a times, and things like that, he never really lets you down. He's had good games against Saka at Arsenal. But it's the other stuff which turns you in from being a team that is just sitting in a low block on the edge of your box to being a team that actually goes and wins games of football regularly and picks you off. Then Miko's not your man. He's got slightly better working with Baines, but it's still not natural to him. And that's the issue. And when you've got someone like, and we say this all the time, we've got Jack Grealish, who's fantastic on the ball, and is begging for someone to run on the outside of him. And then on the right wing, we've got Illiman and Jai, or Tyler Dibbling, both want to come inside, begging for a right back to go flying past them on the other side to give them more space. And we don't. Jake O'Brien tries, Mykolenko tries to do it, but it's not a natural part of their game. So it stutters. And that's why, for me, that's the sort of next bit as well of the puzzle that needs solving by Moyes on both sides, really.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Ratcliffe said, I was speaking to him, and he said, as well as Jake O'Brien's done, he said in many ways he's probably Everton's player of the calendar year. I mean, whether that's right, he's certainly up there. You need somebody with a right-back brain, somebody who is a natural full-back in terms of they know what they're doing. Like we say, he does a job and has been very effective in it, but it's almost like, I think David Moyes has sort of almost acknowledged himself that he just felt he needed a way of getting Jake O'Brien into the team. It wasn't ideal. he's very sort of cultish in terms of his rawness at first in that role as well, and he's doing a job. But as you said, the fact that Everton had Coleman in his pomp and Baines all those years ago now, that's when, you know, the fullback roles really changed in those like mid-noughties. You mean before Coleman, you had Tony Hibbert, who infamously, you know, never scored a goal, but it really sort of if one sort of area of the pitch changed in the last generation, so in terms of what's changed the most, it'd be those full-back roles, like you say. The fact that you should, I mean, the great Ray Wilson for Everton, the World Cup winner, he never scored a goal for Everton because he didn't have to. His job as a full-back was to defend, whereas now the game has evolved. You've got those wingers, the inverted wingers cutting inside. The full-back has got to attack as much as he's defending as well, and the fact that you've got Mykolenko, like you say, a steady defensive left back who's probably had some of his best games against your Salahs or your Sakas of the world, where he knows you just got to defend. And most of the time you want him sort of pushing on. You got him on one side, and you got a 6'6" centre half on the other side who, has been as game as they come and has given it his all, but isn't a natural right back. That's sort of like the margins then when you want to go that next level there, which Everton are hoping to do to get back towards pushing for European places. Ultimately, those are the areas you need the upgrades in. And
we saw, didn't we, the last game, it presented Everton with a different challenge. Crystal Palace playing with a box midfield and the two wing backs so high, like ridiculously high. Yeah. You know, with Tyrrell Mitchell and
the Colombian lad who scored and he scored. Yeah,
he was so high. And it gave you a different, and you was like, look at this problem that these are presenting. And that's what's going to happen. Whereas if we continue doing what we're doing, teams will do what they did to Jack Grealish. We'll put two on Jack Grealish. Mykolenko's not really an issue. He's not going to go past us. Brien might run past you, but he doesn't put a decent ball in because he's a centre back. Yeah. He's not running, trying to get himself in the box, is he? And cut it back for a tap, and he's just getting a bit of space and trying to hit which is fine. Yeah, but to go to that sort of next bit, these are all the things. Fullbacks now are like wingers. The modern day wingers, they've got to be able to beat a man, they've got to have that pace, they've got to be able to go up and down, and they've got to be able to pick people out in the middle. And that's where Everton will make the next step. Yeah. I think there was a player at Sevilla, is it Juan Yu? Who Everton were being linked to recently, and he's been playing right back for Sevilla, but for basically been a right winger all the way through, coming through. He's been compared to Navas, who obviously a similar role at Sevilla all those years ago, when obviously came over playing the Premier League for City. So the fact that if you've been obviously Kenny Tete over the summer as well, but being linked with Hilali is also in Spain, he's not bad either.
Being linked with a right back who was a right winger for all the way coming through sort of shows you the requirements in the role, and looking for something possibly a bit different, because like you're saying, you can do a job, but when it's that next level, when it's that elite level, you want somebody who can do a bit more. And the fact that you were having that a decade ago, 15 years ago almost, with Coleman and Baines, you need it now, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. Steve says I want a chief as well. He'd have been one of the first signings for me. Play to see, he was tailor-made for the Prem. He also says Mykolenko's biggest issue is the fact he can't strike a ball. It'll never be natural to him, which is why signing a modern left-back will instantly take us up to another level. Even Dean at his age would now still take us to another level. Just briefly then, Chris, obviously Manchester City is the next task for Everton. It's as tough as they come, really. You can argue whether City are at their top level, but I actually think they're building into it now. I think they're coming now. The fact that they're only 2 points behind Liverpool and 3 behind Arsenal, having lost 2 games already, shows you that they're starting. Haaland's 24 goals in all competitions or whatever it is in 15 games, shows you how good he is. They've got excellent players, and it's a difficult place to go for Everton, but they fortuitously gained a point last year there, and I'd be more than happy with that this weekend. How'd you see it going? Yeah,
you'd take that. I mean, that's another thing we're talking about beforehand. As much as David Moyes has got those bogey grounds, the fact that first time round he never won at Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool or Man United away. He used to have a decent record at City. even though he used to describe it, wasn't it, as taking a knife to a gunfight, didn't he? When and even riled Mancini. Do you remember that one, that the touchline spat as well? So he got under their skin for a time. But that, although he was there, as he mentioned through the famous quote, when the money had first came in, and of course they got Lescott, didn't they? They finished below Everton that season. It was the season that they just sort of were kicking off, really, and they managed to get Lescott to go. It was before Pep and all that's gone with that now. Maybe they're coming through the other side again now, because they've had that sort of first great City side, and those sort of players, the Bruiners and stuff, have moved on now, and they're moving on to a sort of next generation. But like when you said, when you got Haaland and all the goals that he scores, I mean, people talk about his all-round game or sort of supposed lack of it, the fact he hardly ever takes a touch or whatever. He doesn't need to, and he only needs a couple of touches and it's in the back of the net. Incredible, phenomenal force of nature, and in fact they've got him on that ridiculous long-term contract as well. You mentioned before Donnarumma. People have said it's like having a bear in goal. He's been playing for Milan at 16 or whatever. Yeah. I'm surprised. I don't know what went on at PSG with the politics there or whatever. The fact that he was allowed to they had the other keeper there and they let him go. So what a coup, like you say, for having Ederson for all those years, and you bring Donnarumma in, after finally breaking the record, actually Jordan Pickford's record, to bring Trafford in, jibbed him after a couple of games and got Donnarumma. I guess when those opportunities arise, you got to take them, and they're still. It's almost like a new City coming through now. Obviously, he made a few signings last season, didn't he, during the January when they were struggling, and they're sort of bedding in now. Yeah, it's always going to be a tough ask. Everton, after I said they had that good record on the Moyes, they've got a really poor one, haven't they, in recent years against City? I know they've nicked a few draws and stuff, as they did last season, but it's been a long time now since they beat City. So, yeah, you take a point there, wouldn't you? Especially with, obviously, the fact, as we all know, Jack Grealish can't play against his parent club. So it's like, what do you do there? How do you do that one? Because I'd be interested to see. I'd imagine Alcaraz would come in after the way he played, but I mean, personally, I reckon that what he ends up doing is, I think Kieran Dewsbury-Hall comes back at 10. That's what I think Moyes will do. I think he'll put Alcaraz left, and then I'll put Ndiaye back on the right. I think Tyler Dibblin drops out, but I know a lot of people want to see Alcaraz play the 10 after what he did against Palace, but I think the more natural thing in Moyes' mind would be to put Dewsbury-Hall in there and Alcaraz on the left.
Is there not a case, I mean, I agree, by the way, but is there not a slight case for playing Dewsbury-Hall on the left, just with the balance of the left foot, and putting Alcaraz in the 10, leaving him where he's actually someone who'll carry the ball for Everton? Because that's what he did brilliantly against Palace. We never once tried to get, I know Dewsbury-Hall didn't play, but we never really once in that first half especially went beyond Palace's midfield, and that's why Wharton had an easy first half, so did Kamada. When Alcaraz came on, he gave them a different thing to worry about. In the end, he couldn't cope with him bursting through. So I wonder if he'd just go for, I mean, I think he'll do what you said, but me, I think I'd potentially have Dewsbury-Hall with that left foot just over to the side, rather than go with Dibbling, and then maybe, depending on how it's playing out, if it's tight or if Everton are chasing a goal or whatever, then give Dibbling 25 minutes, half an hour, and see if he can affect the game a little bit. But because Dewsbury-Hall's going to work his socks off, because that's what he does, and he's really good on the ball, and Alcaraz works hard, so you're going to have two lads who will certainly match Manchester City's work rate, as Idrissa Gana-Gueye will, and James Garner. So you're almost putting a workman-like midfield, and then you've got Illiman and Jai, who's the sort of wild card there. And then what do you think he'll do up top? Because obviously Tieno Barry was, he probably had his worst game for Everton against Palace. Beto done well when he come on, but then has had quite an interesting time with Guinea-Bissau over the break, including missing an absolute open goal from a yard out in a game they lost. But he's played 2 international games and travelled and all that. Would you go with him, or would you give Barry another opportunity to say, come on, you're better than you were against Palace. You get your link-up play going. He's posted lots of videos on social media of him striking a ball and scoring goals and working hard.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do there?
Or is this the game where he surprises us all and puts Ndiaye up front? I don't know. Yeah.
Everything else is thrown out there.
Well, he could be, because then he's got his other options. Because if he's mixing it up in the, it's very unlike Moyes to do a sort of a wild card like that. Because then it sort of solved the issue in who plays behind him. It's either way, isn't it? It as you say, Beto. It was an outrageous miss, really. If you'd have seen that one on the park, should have been. But I mean, does he think, he's got a turn for him at some point? Because to be fair, Beto did well when he came on, and probably should have buried the chance at the end that ends up scoring from anyway, from Ndiaye's cross. But Ndiaye scored a really good goal. I know it was who was he playing? Mauritania he was playing. But yeah, it reminded me of the Tottenham goal last season. So he slalomed it through, and then obviously the cool left foot finish. So I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I'm not here to sit on the fence, but I honestly think it's a real quandary, because there's no obvious choice. As you say, Barry probably had his worst game against Palace. Beto's missed the sitter for Guinea-Bissau. What does he do? I mean, he's been chopping and changing for him for a long time now. One half for one half for the other. Or he's changing it round. We saw it again against Palace. Gave 45 minutes to each of them. So I honestly couldn't tell you. I'm not sitting on the fence just because I'm being uncommon. I honestly don't know what he's going to do at the moment. Any sort of choice seems as good as the other. I just wonder, if we are going to be wild card or something out the box on this one, is this the game? Just give Illiman a go up front. Maybe. I don't think he will. Like I said, I think he'll go the way I said before, but maybe this is a chance. Whether you call. What would
you do then? Forget about
what
would you do?
What would I do? I might go with Ndiaye just because it's that game. Like we said, we were loath to use that phrase, the free hit.
Yeah.
But maybe with City's defenders, maybe you'd have a bit of joy. Maybe it'd be the chance just to try something different. And then if it doesn't work, go back to using one of the big lads instead next time round. Maybe it's the chance to try something like that, because unfortunately it's not worked so far this season. Just the one Premier League goal between them. Beto needs to just play himself back into form, but unfortunately, because of the way that the team has changed with the tactics, maybe they're not playing to his strengths with those through balls that they're playing. Although they've got better footballers behind him now, it's not necessarily playing to his strengths. Not necessarily playing bad. Nothing with Tierno Barry. He was playing 4-4-2, wasn't he? Villarreal, playing as part of a front two. So it's completely different. That was something I was speaking to Anders Limpard about last week. He says it's night and day for a striker between going for like a two-man partnership and then you're playing on your own up front. And I don't think, Anders suggested that Everton played the two of them together. I definitely don't think David Moyes is doing that. I know he's gone 4-4-2 in the past, but I don't think he's doing it with these two lads. So yeah, maybe it's the time to go with Ndiaye. And I say if it doesn't work, well, revert to type it against Tottenham.
There you go. It's going to be interesting, for sure, to see what he does. And obviously we'll find out tomorrow whether the likes of Mail and Roll are training again and in the squad. Be an interesting one to get him back in contention and see what David Moyes' plans for him are. Make sure you get Chris's book, Spirit of the Blues, available on Amazon. You can get that, or get yourself down to Waterstones, Liverpool 1. November the 25th, 6:30, but you've got to get a ticket for that. Go down and see Chris with Michael Ball. Like, subscribe, do all that. See you later.